World War II, misconceptions and disregarded facts. 1. The German Luftwaffe destroyed the Polish Air Force on the ground. After Germany had attacked and conquered Poland, it was hailed as a great victory. Look, our Air Force wiped out the Polish counterpart on the ground. Look how much better we are. A great victory indeed. Now let's move on. After the war, that is just what people did. Let's not check this out. The Germans probably knew what they were talking about. So propaganda turned into fact. This is not what happened. The Polish Air Force, smaller and older than their German counterparts, thought that maybe we will just disperse our planes. So when the Germans attack, they cannot hit all airfields at once. So this is what they did. In 1939, Poland had a couple of hundred planes, few considered modern by 1939 standards, but some were still capable. Fighters, they had some 150 plus planes. Most of them were PZL-P11 and some PZL-P7 fighters. The German Air Force used some 1,000 to 1,300 planes in their attack, most of them modern, like the Messerschmitt 109, the C and D variants. As a comparison, the PZL-P11 had a top speed of 390 km per hour and 2 machine guns, whereas the Messerschmitt 109C had a top speed of 420 km per hour and the D variant 470 km per hour. They had 4 machine guns. The Polish Air Force would claim some 129 German planes shot down for a loss of 116 of their own planes. The Poznan wing alone claimed 14 kills between the 10th and the 17th of September. They would have problems in moving bases, planes and logistics staffs being out of touch with each other, sometimes for days. But the Polish Air Force were flying until the 17th of September, 2+ weeks after the invasion. The kill ratio, considering the disparity between plane types, would, in my mind, confirm the statement that Polish pilots gave more than they got. The Germans did bomb some airfields and caught some planes on the ground, but few of them were active fighters or bombers. They were mostly trainers. Misconception. Germany started World War II by themselves, and a war was fought to protect Polish independence. One can argue when World War II started. 1st of September 1939 is the most common date, when Germany invaded Poland. When Japan invaded Manchuria could also be a starting date. Or it could be 1941 when Japan attacked Malaya and Pearl Harbor and it really turned into a world war. Some will also say that World War I never stopped, it was just a long ceasefire before World War II. But if war started with the invasion of Poland, it is then true that both Germany and the Soviet Union started the war, as both countries did in fact attack Poland and divide the country in two. Now, you might say that the Soviet Union only entered the country to stop the Germans, and that would be fine if Poland would have invited them, which they did not. A country who uses military force against another country is in fact at war with that country. The invasion of Poland triggered World War II. The Soviet Union also attacked Poland, so if Germany was the main culprit, the Soviet Union would be a co-defender. It is true that Poland and the Soviet Union did not fight any major battles, for the simple fact that most Polish troops were fighting the Germans. But it is not true to say that no fighting occurred. As late as the 28th of September, a Polish force won a victory over a Red Army unit. Would the Soviet Union have attacked Poland without Germany attacking first? We cannot know. But we can know that they did in fact attack Poland. World War II did not start because the Allies wanted to defend Polish independence. How can I say that? Well, the treaty signed between the Allies and Poland specifically stated only against aggression from Germany. When Poland was attacked, little to no help came to its defense, and before the war there had been little actual cooperation between the Polish and the French-British counterparts. If the Polish independence really had been the reason, one might have thought that they would also have declared war on the Soviet Union, which they didn't, and for good reasons. The pact with Poland was a way to stop Hitler. That they did not declare war on the Soviet Union was for the simple, realistic reason that they could maybe fight Germany, but they could not fight both Germany and the Soviet Union at the same time. Number 3. The British fought alone and saved its army at Dunkirk. The German attack in 1940 against Western Europe with the aim of conquering France was a shamble on the Allies' side. Bad communication, a static plan, many things went wrong very quickly. The German army attacked Holland and Belgium, and British-French forces moved north according to the plan to take up positions inside Belgium. And meanwhile, German panzer divisions broke out from the Ardennes region and swiftly encircled the best Allied troops. Well, the Allied troops had one way to get out, and that was towards the sea, and the port of Dunkirk would be the salvation. Normally we hear that the British army fought well and hard, giving the bulk of its forces time to be evacuated, even managing to get some 100,000 French soldiers out. Sometimes we hear that the French were also there fighting, but usually it is a side note, not the main headline. So, how was the evacuation possible? The British fought hard, but the French fought even harder. And without their hard fighting, the Dunkirk evacuation would never have taken place, or been much smaller if it had. Hitler had given a stop order for his forces, but that was rescinded on the 28th of May. At that time, part of the 1st French army held out at Lille, tying up 7 German divisions, 3 of them armored divisions. They finally surrendered on the 31st of May. Had they not fought, and if Germany had those extra divisions earlier, the evacuation of Dunkirk would have been, let's say, trickier. Some estimates says that they saved about 100,000 soldiers. Others say that the Dunkirk evacuation wouldn't have been possible if they would not have held out. By the end, the rearguard was mostly made up of French troops, some holding out a bit longer to allow an extra 30,000 French troops to be evacuated. The British also fought hard, there is no doubt about that. But we too often forget the French effort that made the evacuation of Dunkirk possible, and the continuation of the war that finally defeated Hitler and Nazi Germany. If you like it, give a thumbs up and subscribe, and see you hopefully at my next video.